Hey there, class. This week's lecture is about optical illusions. So we're going to learn about how optical illusions are created through the manipulation of the design elements and the application of design principles. So let's first start with body types. It is important for designers to understand body types. Consideration of body type should be taken in the initial design phase. Having this understanding allows designers to create garments that emphasize and de-emphasize certain parts of the body. So here we have a listing of 5 different body types. The first is the balanced body type, meaning that the shoulders and the hips are of equal width, while the waist is visibly indented. So individuals with this body type can often wear different styles. The hourglass body type, also known as the X figure, is when the shoulders and the hips have a balanced width and the waist is very indented. So we often see this body shape today amongst celebrities. The triangle body type, also referred to as the pear or the A figure, is when the shoulders are narrower and the hips are wider. This type is considered the classical female body type. The inverted triangle is also known as the wedge or the V figure. This is when the shoulders are wider and the hips are narrower. This is a common body type among teenagers. The rectangular type, also known as the H figure, is when the shoulders and the hips have a balanced width, but the waist does not have a visible indent. This image shows the different body types that we just discussed. So how to trick the eye with shape? Particularly, let's talk about silhouettes. So as a reminder, silhouette is also the shape of a garment. So it is best possible to correct proportions by using silhouettes because of the opportunity provided to accent, conceal, and reveal different body parts. T-shaped silhouettes accents the shoulders to offset wider waist and hips. Your wedge type silhouettes will accent the shoulders and conceals width at the waist and the hip. Your rectangular or shift silhouette is anchored at the shoulders. It skims past the waist and the hips. The drop waist silhouette camouflages wide waist, but it may create a horizontal that widens the hips. The blousing silhouette enlarges the top of the body to balance wider hips or thighs. It will skim past a wider waist. The shirt waist silhouette emphasizes a slim waist, with a full skirt covering the width at the hips and the thighs. An A-line silhouette is also anchored at the shoulders. It skims past the waist and the hips. When anchored at the waist as a skirt, it emphasizes the waist but camouflages the hips and thighs. The sheath silhouette echoes the figure. This silhouette is best for a balanced or hourglass figure. Tricking the eye with proportion. The illusion of height is created when the height of a shape is greater than its width. The illusion of width is created when the width of a shape is greater than the height. So when you take a look at the two images here, the model appears to be the same. However, you can see that in image B, she looks to be taller because of the illusion of height, which has been created. Tricking the eye with line. So as we know, line leads the eye. So it takes the viewer in a particular direction. Remember that vertical lines make people look thinner and taller, while horizontal lines make people look wider and shorter. Diagonal lines mimic the directional effect of the line that they resemble. They have a lengthening effect when they're placed closer to vertical lines, and then the opposite effect is true when they are placed closer to horizontal lines. As like diagonal lines, curved lines mimic the effect of the line that they resemble. Another consideration is the placement of vertical lines. So vertical lines that are placed closer together are more slenderizing than those that are placed further apart. Vertical and horizontal lines in combination. So the T configuration will stop the eye at the shoulder line. The H configuration will stop the lengthening effect. And the I configuration restricts the up and down movement of the eye and shortens the figure. Diagonal lines in combination. So lines of equal length can appear longer or shorter based on their endings. So the image here shows a line of the same length, but it looks as if the line has either gotten shorter or longer based upon the line's endings or where the line is intersected. Tricking the eye with color. So monochromatic and analogous color schemes add height. When using multicolor schemes, these break up the space, stinting the length of a garment or the length of the wearer. Personal coloring. There are three categories of value contrast between skin tone and hair color. Low contrast is when the skin and hair tones are similar. Medium contrast is when the skin and hair tones fall between the extremes. And high contrast is when the skin and hair tones are extremely opposite. So basically the medium contrast is in between low and high contrast. Those who fall within the low to medium contrast look best in colors and color combinations with the same degree of contrast. Strong value contrasts in clothing tend to overwhelm those with low to medium contrast and draw attention to the clothing instead of the wearer. Those who fall within the high contrast category are the only ones who can carry off equally high contrasting values in their clothing choices. Simultaneous contrast is when opposites are near or touching each other to the point that they push each other and exaggerate their actual differences. Opposition comes from hue, chroma, and value. Simultaneous contrast color complements. Placing color complements next to each other makes their differences more pronounced. When color complements aren't equal in size, the one covering the largest area dominates. Simultaneous contrast value. So as we know, black and white is the strongest value contrast. Light and dark values placed next to each other have the same contrast as black and white. Individuals with light skin and light hair will find that by wearing darker clothing that their skin tone and hair tone appears even lighter. Those with medium to dark skin and hair will see that by wearing lighter color clothing that their skin tone and hair tone will darken. Simultaneous contrast chroma. So simultaneous contrast in chroma works the same way as color complements and value. When you place a muted and a bright color next to each other, the following will result. The higher intensity color will appear brighter, and the lower intensity color will appear duller. When selecting clothing colors that best fit your features, such as skin tone and hair tone, it is best to choose the desirable effect that you are trying to achieve. So perhaps you want to brighten your skin tone or intensify the color of your hair, or maybe even bring out your eye color. Once you have selected the effect that you're trying to achieve, then you want to pick the color complement that will produce that effect. Tricking the eye with fabric. So shiny fabrics advance and makes objects appear larger. Patterns on fabric can accentuate and enlarge or camouflage and reduce apparent size. So here's a chart that shows how you can trick the eye with fabrics. It shows which fabrics advance and which recede. In conclusion, the way that we use design elements and principles can create optical illusions in clothing.